Hey there, I'm your narrator, and today I've got a bone-chilling story to share, sent in by one of our listeners. So our friend, let's call him John, found himself at Disneyland on a day like any other. The sun was shining, kids were laughing, and the smell of popcorn filled the air. Everywhere he looked, he saw pure joy. The iconic Cinderella castle stood tall and proud in the distance, while the cheerful music from the carousel played in the background. John was there with his family, just trying to soak in the magic and create some beautiful memories. The lines were long, but the smiles on his kids' faces made it all worthwhile. They were having the time of their lives, meeting their favorite characters and enjoying the thrilling rides. But as the day wore on, something felt off. A creeping sensation of unease started to overshadow the joy. Little did our friend know, this trip to Disneyland would soon turn into a nightmare. As the day went on, our friend decided to take a ride on the Haunted Mansion. Now, if you've ever been to Disneyland, you know it's not your average theme park ride. This one, it's different. It's got this air about it, like it's holding secrets, whispering them in your ear as you pass through. Our friend, he's a tough guy, not easily scared. But as he steps into the dimly lit anteroom of the mansion, he can't shake off a weird feeling. It's like the air's gotten colder, the shadows deeper. The ride starts and he's sitting in this little cart, all alone, journeying through the mansion's cold, dark halls. There's a strange stillness, punctuated only by the creaking of the cart and his own heartbeat. The animatronics, they're realistic, too realistic. The ghostly figures, they seem to stare right at him, their eyes following him wherever he goes. The sound effects, they're eerie. A distant, echoing laughter, a soft whisper, a sudden scream. It all feels too real, too close for comfort. The mansion, it's like it's alive, breathing, watching him. At some point, he starts to feel a presence. It's not visible, but it's there, like a cold breath on the back of his neck. He can't shake off the feeling of being watched, followed. He tries to brush it off, tells himself it's just the effects of the ride, the product of an overactive imagination, but the feeling, it's persistent, it's unsettling. As the ride goes on, the unease grows stronger. He's no longer enjoying the ride, he's enduring it. Every creak, every shadow, every animatronic, it's like they're all part of some grand, twisted performance, a nightmare he's caught in. Exiting the ride, our friend felt a chill run down his spine. Something felt off. He's left the haunted mansion, but it feels like a part of the mansion has latched onto him, like it's followed him out. He shakes his head, tries to laugh it off, but deep down he knows something's changed. Shaking off the strange feeling, our friend continued exploring the park, but soon he noticed a mysterious figure following him. This wasn't your usual Disneyland character, folks. The figure was tall, and it wore an oversized trench coat, the brim of a hat casting a shadow over where a face should be. Our friend couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this figure, something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. The figure wasn't just walking around, mind you. He was following our friend. No matter where our friend went, the figure was always there, just a few steps behind, hidden in plain sight among the crowds of delighted families and frolicking kids. Our friend decided to test his theory. He quickened his pace, making his way through the throngs of people. But no matter how fast he walked, the figure kept up, maintaining the same distance. Through the sea of colorful balloons and the smell of popcorn, the figure was always there, like a dark cloud on a sunny day. He tried to lose him in the labyrinth of the park, weaving through the rides and attractions. But every time he turned around, there he was, the figure looming in the background, a constant, ominous presence. Gathering his courage, our friend approached the figure. He had a deep breath, trying to keep his cool. The air around him felt heavy, almost suffocating. The figure stood still, its back to him, unresponsive to his approach. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum at a rock concert. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The figure didn't answer. It didn't even acknowledge his presence. It was as if it was unaware of the world around it. He tried again, louder this time. "Hey, I'm talking to you! Who are you?" There was a pause, a silence that felt like an eternity. And then the figure spoke. Its voice was low, almost a growl, and it echoed around the deserted amusement park. "That's not for you to know," it said. He felt a chill run down his spine, but he pushed it aside. He was determined to get answers. "Why are you here?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The figure turned to face him, its features hidden in the shadows. "I am here for the same reason you are," it replied cryptically. He didn't understand. What did it mean? He was here for a fun day at Disneyland, not for a creepy encounter with a mysterious figure. He asked again, "What do you mean?" But the figure just laughed, a chilling sound that echoed around the park. Frustrated and scared, our friend decided to leave the park. He had enough of this. He didn't want to deal with this anymore, but as he turned to go, the figure whispered something that sent shivers down his spine. It was a phrase, a sentence that he couldn't quite make out, but the tone, the menace in the figure's voice, made his blood run cold. He didn't look back as he made his way to the park exit. He knew he would never forget this day, the day he had a confrontation with a figure that refused to reveal its identity, a figure that was as mysterious as the night itself. As our friend hurried away, the figure's chilling words echoed in his ears. The words, vague and sinister, were like a cold wind that made his heart shiver. "Beware the shadow of the mouse," the figure had whispered, his voice a mere breath against the clamor of the park. What could such a phrase mean? Our friend thought it over, his mind spinning. The shadow of the mouse? The Mickey Mouse silhouette was everywhere, an omnipresent symbol of joy and childhood. But a shadow? Shadows were dark. They hid things. They were the unknown. Could the figure be hinting at some darker side of the happiest place on earth? And then there was the figure himself. His face was shrouded, his form little more than a silhouette against the backdrop of the park. He seemed to belong and yet not belong, as if he was a part of the park but also apart from it. A phantom, a ghost, a figment of the imagination? Our friend didn't know, but the figure had seemed real enough in the moment. The more our friend thought about it, the more the figure's words gnawed at him. They were an itch he couldn't scratch, a question he couldn't answer. They were a mystery, a riddle, a puzzle that refused to be solved, and the more he tried to solve it, the more unsettled he became. The park was closing now, the lights dimming, the music fading, the crowds were thinning, the laughter dying down, the magic slowly ebbing away. But the figure's words remained, a haunting echo in our friend's mind. And so, as he left Disneyland, our friend couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling that had settled over him. The park had lost some of its shine, its magic tinged with a hint of darkness. "Beware the shadow of the mouse," the figure had said. But what did it mean? What shadow? Haunted by the figure's words, our friend couldn't help but wonder, who was that figure? And what did they mean? Even now, our friend can't shake the memory of that day at Disneyland. The laughter and joy, once the soundtrack of this magical place, are now drowned out by the eerie echoes of that mysterious figure. Each ride, each character, every corner of the park seems to hold a hidden terror. Our friend's heart throbs with dread at the very thought of that haunted mansion. His nights are filled with the chilling words of the figure, repeating like a broken record in his mind. The figure's identity remains unknown, a ghastly enigma that adds fuel to the fire of his fear. The meaning of their words, an unsolved riddle, gnaws at his sanity, turning his world into an open-ended nightmare. His once cherished memories of Disneyland are now tainted with dread, leaving him in a constant state of panic and confusion. And so, the nightmare continues. Who was that figure? And what horror awaits our friend? Until next time, keep wondering and keep watching.